Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, Jon Jordan. So this is something of a cautionary tale, and it is about the game My Neighbor Alice. So this is the webpage for My Neighbor Alice. So it's a interesting looking blockchain game. It's sort of a some people have called it a sort of an Animal Crossing on the blockchain. I'm not sure I'd go quite that far, but you can see from the ethos it's obviously very much inspired by something like an Animal Crossing sort of a vibe going on here. I don't think anything is going to be as deep as Animal Crossing, a game that is developed by hundreds of people and also published by Nintendo, one of the best games companies in the world. And this is the people behind My Neighbor Alice are a pretty small Swedish developer. They developed a few kind of mobile PC games, but they're just not an enormous company. And it's interesting that they were trying out this blockchain game. So here we are. There's a bit of detail about them. They're called Antler Interactive. So this game was announced actually start of January. It's not out yet, but it's kind of you could potentially see this would attract a different sort of audience than something like CryptoPunks, which isn't a game, or even Axie Infinity. Now, what has happened here is that My Neighbor Alice did a deal with Binance. So I've done a few videos previously about Binance. Binance are the biggest name in crypto when it comes to centralized exchanges. They just have millions of users, billions of dollars of daily liquidity. So that's just trading. Particularly strong in Asia. In fact, you're not really US citizens aren't really legally allowed to use them. So really deep and really kind of a powerful force in crypto for a specific sort of user, and not that Asian users are different, I think, from the rest of the world. All crypto kind of users are speculators to some degree, but I think that's definitely the case. But Binance is definitely the case. That people are really in it to make money, which is fine. That's what blockchain games and blockchain projects is sort of, that's a key part of it. But for me, it's not maybe not even the main part, but certainly not the only part. And we've seen games like Axie Infinity and the Sandbox do what we call token launches on Binance, where basically people use their BNB, the Binance native token, and actually buy some of these tokens at a very low price, and then they can kind of obviously sell them on at a profit. They did something a bit different with the Alice token from Binance, from My Neighbor Alice. So that's the Alice token. And basically, you farmed Alice by staking tokens. So farming is a different sort of mechanic. What you do is you stake your token. So in this case, I would take my BNB tokens and I would stake them into. I would basically put them. They wouldn't be available to me. They would be sort of locked up in an escrow account, a smart contract, something like that. And you would basically get rewards. You would basically, for the length of time your tokens were locked up, you would get these Alice tokens. So in this case, you're not even buying the Alice tokens. You're what we call yield farming them. So you're just locking them up, and then you're getting sort of an interest rate based on them. So we can see a whole bunch of Alice tokens were given away. So we had 300,000 given away for this period of time, and 60,000 for this period of time, split between these various pools. That's kind of interesting, because people aren't paying for them; they're just getting them for free. I think if people pay for them, there may be a potential for them to hold on to them a little bit longer. I think if you just get stuff for free, people tend to just kind of there's a stronger urge to sell them on. And in fact, there can be depending on the tax where you live, there can be a tax implication of if you're giving these things effectively as a sort of for free. It may be sensible to sort of sell them straight away, or you might be paying more tax than you otherwise would, depending on what happens to the price. But anyway, basically a whole bunch of people got this Alice token. Let's go and have a look at the price. So this is CoinGecko. So we can see here, look at the price, what happened. So basically, remember, people were effectively getting these for free. So I'm not quite sure where they kind of started out working on the price, but when at least CoinGecko started tracking this, the price was what we got here, $17, $18. And we can see here over the course of Monday the 15th of March, went up to $38. So even if you bought here, even if you weren't involved with the yield farming and bought straight away. They're ERC20 tokens, so they're obviously most of the tracking, most of the trading is on Binance, but you could do it on Uniswap. You could have bought in and basically doubled your money in a few hours. Now, unfortunately, what tends to happen when basically people just get stuff for free, or with anything that launches, particularly that launches on big exchanges where there's a lot of liquidity, people just start dumping the price straight. Certainly when it goes on like this, people start dumping straight away because they don't care about the project. They're just doing it for the money. On Binance in general, I think, and in fact on a lot of these sort of similar platforms, basically people just go in. They put their money in whatever they want to put in, and they basically if they make 100% straight away, they don't really care if they're going to make 1,000% in a year's time. They just want to take make the quick money and then recycle that into the next project. And that's clearly sort of what happened here. So we had a peak up here, and then since then, we are some $17 been now down to under $14. So we can see here it's only been going for it's not even hit 14 days yet, and we can see we're already down 40%, and from an all-time high we're down 66%. So this is, I think, can be a problem. The other thing to note here is that even now the market cap for this project is $237 million. So that's not to say, it's not to say, I think at the moment for any blockchain game you can work out what the market cap should be. But for a game that's from a small company that hasn't made a blockchain game before, doesn't really have a vast amount of community, I would say. I'm not really terribly sure quite how this game is going to be adopted, because it is kind of playing for a different audience. This to me is a lot of money, and I think just sometimes game developers should be a bit more careful about dealing with things like Binance and these organizations with massive liquidity, and these organizations that clearly have a incentive for their users to just make money without thinking too much or holding too much or caring about the project. It's just a very kind of knee-jerk. Here's a new thing on Binance Launchpad. I'm going to get as much of it as I can and then dump it. Because this is not the fault of the My Neighbor Alice team at all. This sort of dynamic. They made a decision to go with Binance, so in a sense this is an indirect result of that. But basically now there is a sort of a history now of when anyone comes to look at this token price, they'll just see a decline, and the price could decline a lot more. We can see actually here that trading's reduced a lot, so people who wanted to sell have probably sold. But for me, it just seems much better for blockchain games to kind of think about how they can build up, and even if they start low, having a dynamic where the price goes up, and it may go up a lot. It may spike and then come down again for certain events, but still having a long-term view where the price is going up is much better than having a long-term view where the price has spiked at the beginning and is unlikely to kind of reach those levels again. Because that, I think, just kind of caps people's enthusiasm and imagination for a project. So it's just something to be aware of. In general, I think Binance is a very powerful brand in the blockchain game, or in the blockchain space, crypto space, and it's very interested in games and NFTs. But you have to be very careful that I think your project isn't being chewed up by Binance for Binance's own reasons, and you're actually getting something out of it. Now, of course, you do get the liquidity. So even now on Binance, we're seeing massive massive volume. So $34 million of 24-hour volume. That's people are buying in and out of this. But I don't really believe these technical analysis things, but clearly this isn't a good optic. Basically, people have, there's not, this is technical analysis. I don't quite know how this is driven, but basically people are saying if you have this coin, sell it now because it's not going to go up. So just something to be wary of, particularly, I guess, the imbalance with something like My Neighbor Alice, a small team dealing with a massive company like Binance. There's just an imbalance there, I think, of kind of power. Maybe if it was like EA coming in with a need for speed coming on the blockchain, there'd be a different sort of dynamic there. But just something to be aware of, I think, for companies when it comes to dealing with these large entities who have their own incentives, which may not be aligned with yours. Anyway, enough for today. Thanks for watching the video. This is Blockchain Gaming World, deep into the world of blockchain games, trying to work out what's going to happen. Please subscribe if you like this sort of content. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.